Biden pushes for immigration pathway for 500K skins living in the US. We'll talk about that. New variety of hog just dropped. What is this? Oh, I love that. White Boy Summer continues today at the Trump rally. 9/11 outage, 911 outage in Massachusetts. Campaign trails are hot. Gay Disney night IRL stream with Cutie and will later get in now. Okay, twitch.tv/Hasanabi. Okay, boom. And then we'll put a blast off meme on it. 2 different blast off memes on it. Let's go. That's a double meme, double header, double memer. Nintendo Direct was fire. Really? Here it is, folks. Where's your shirt from? My shirt is from me. I reviewed the Elden VODs and I don't think you defeated Mog Lord of Blood, which you need access to the DLC, or am I high? No, I'm pretty sure I did defeat him. Yeah. I definitely beat him. What are you talking about? Fantano destroy Brianna Wu in the marketplace of ideas. What is this? Voting is heterosexual. Being in a stable relationship is heterosexual. Look, if you want to be a polyamorous, anarchist, communist, sex clause forever, have a party. But my vision for queer liberation doesn't just involve civil rights. It's civil responsibility. You don't get to equality by treating heterosexual norms as superior and aspirational. Wait, what? I don't think that's true at all. I actually see it the other way. If LGBTQ people truly want equal rights, that means equal responsibility. At a certain point, we need to be productive members of society like anyone else. That means participating in our communities, raising kids if we have the opportunity, having stable partnerships. Wait, what? What the fuck does like raising kids if you have the opportunity and having stable partnerships have anything to do with like being treated with respect and dignity and having equal rights? Are you on fucking crack? What is this person saying? Why am I starting off the day with a fucking shit ass Brianna Wu tweet? I'm just like, what is this fucking like liberal ass nuclear family approach? What the fuck's going on? Is this pro monogamy activism? I just don't understand how you would bring up. I don't personally fucking understand why you would bring up like the 2-parent bonding situation at all when talking about like gay people getting rights. Like, what is it? Like, there's so many different parts of this that maybe I'm misunderstanding, but there's so many different parts of this that's just like so stupid, because there are different parts of this that are very stupid for a multitude of different reasons. It's like, even if not a single gay person was in like a fucking 2-parent relationship that's like stable, you still shouldn't, like, I don't know, kill gay people or do hate crimes to gay people. Like, what the fuck are we talking about? Is it like, is the only reason why like gay people are not getting fucking murdered now a direct consequence of like having at least like a percentage of the queer community being in like stable relationships? Like, the fuck? That's so odd. What does sexual freedom have to do with productivity or civil responsibility? Am I stripped from my capacity to contribute to society when I let 3 communists take turns sitting on my face? The answer is no, because the demographics of people who we perceive as being civilly responsible are always up to some sexual debauchery. Sex clubs and swinger parties are packed with white people, straight people, middle-class people, aging Gen Xers, and bored normies that's really looking for a way to shake their lives up. Being a prude doesn't make you a more effective member of society. It just makes you boring. Okay, that's great. Anthony Fantano, Pack Watch. If you're already casting shade on atypical family structure, you're including 2 gay dads in there. Appeal to tradition is not a good approach for anyone even slightly queer. Yeah, I don't fucking get it. Are we allowed to toss the C word when we talk about women being racist or bigoted like this? Or is it still no? Yeah, it's still a no. Just call women dicks, you know? If you want to call them something, you shouldn't call them the C word. I just don't understand why you would ever bring up like civil rights and like civil rights as like a thing that is afforded to you because you're kind enough, you're good enough, you're nice enough, and you're playing ball. Even if every single gay person was engaging in debauchery, I still wouldn't be fucking running around advocating to, like, you know, remove them from public spaces. It's very odd. Can you please name the podcast you did in New York? At least some did not release yet, I guess. Yes, Taps is the only one that hasn't released yet. Anyway, Here it is. Here's the blast off memes. We're live and alive. Let the people know. Let's get it going. Retweet, likes are secret now, but retweets are still valid. I don't know if like secret likes still end up putting this stuff on other people's timelines, but yeah. Turkey just won their matches on. I know. Everyone is going to be fucking extra annoying today. Didn't you do Colin and Samir? I did do Colin and Samir. I don't know where it is. The Macius, thank you for the playlist. Thank you for the playlist. The Macius. Stavi hasn't come out yet. I'm on a bunch of podcasts that haven't been released yet. I don't know why. These motherfuckers are taking their sweet old time on release. What? Luka to Celtics fans?
Leave it. Why is mom? No moms.
He said your mom's a fucking hoe bitch to, or was it the fan who said it?
Whoa.
That's Luka saying that? You know these fans are saying wild slurs? Bro, Luka is like literally, Luka is everything that a Celtics fan wants though. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's weird. It's a weird situation because like on the one hand, they're like, oh, we hate you because you're like, you know, playing against our beloved Celtics. But also on the other hand, you're like, you know, master racing it, right? Like you're a white guy who's dominating in the league. And there is nothing Celtics fans love more than a white guy who's like schlubby, especially dominating the fucking league. So for them, it's like a very confusing situation because like there's a little bit of white pride at play while simultaneously they're like, well, but he is still playing against the fucking Celtics. Anyway, I don't think that was Luka who said your mom's a fucking hoe bitch. Meanwhile, Jaylen Brown is literally everything Celtics aren't. I know. Well, in any case, congratulations to fucking Boston for the 18th ship. It's like, fuck you. Okay. I have no investment in the matter. I don't really care. I don't really care about basketball. I don't even watch basketball. I don't have a team. I just like players. You could technically say Kyrie Irving gave Boston a ring, you know? There it is. Kyrie Irving brought the Celtics a fucking ring. He did that. It's just that he was on the opposite side. There it is. Stolen joke, Lamau. Yeah. It is pretty funny. I feel like so many people just were preying on the Celtics downfall. A lot of people were preying on the Celtics downfall in general, myself included, because I just don't really like racism. You know, I'm an anti-racist activist in many respects. So in my mind, I thought like maybe white supremacy could be defeated in America. And it turns out you can't do that. Okay. Turns out you can't do that. I love that fucking absolute dumbasses, like absolute baboon-brained idiots in the fucking chat already are getting auto-modded about Noam Chomsky. And in their minds, they're not going, maybe I should stop trying to say Noam Chomsky in the chat because it's fucking auto-modded. So let me get around it by saying Chomsky passed, by like trying to get around the auto-mod. Why? What is wrong with you? Like, obviously, there's a fucking reason why there's a goddamn auto mod. Why? Why do you try doubly hard? Like, please, for the love of Christ, dude. One, we don't fucking know. Okay, we don't know. We don't have like actual confirmation so far. Okay. Two, like when there is actual confirmation, I will talk about it. Jacobin wrote an obituary and then that's it. Like everyone's like, no, he's definitely dead now. He's definitely dead. He's definitely super dead. And he might have, but like, I don't know. We don't know yet. Why? Why do you have to fucking do this? Why do you have to do this thing? It's so goddamn annoying to just like have this shit be blasted in the fucking chat over and over again, which is why we literally put a fucking auto mod on it. And yet apparently someone says I'm racist shit when Kyrie fell into the announce table last night. It's crazy how brave motherfuckers are among like-minded individuals. Kyrie comes crashing. And
goes crashing into the stands. Round the other way. Irving's still trying to get up. Come on. Irving checks with our statistician Dave Reed, who makes sure he's okay. Amazing hustle from Kyrie Irving.
Just incredible. And we hope Dave, are you okay? You're okay?
Well, he's been hit before. He took a charge on Joel Embiid a couple of years ago.
I can't hear what he said. Also, you're a LeBron fan, which makes you a Laker fan, which makes you automatically hate the Celtics. I mean, like I said, I think I can't hear what he said, but been a fan of the sport since I could walk, and it's like we're back in the civil rights era. Yeah. Mike Breen mentions it if you unpause.
Somebody said something to him inappropriate while the guy's down on the floor, which is a disgrace. And Irving bounces back up and gets out on the floor. Brown misses the free throw.
So he's just, someone says something inappropriate to him that the announcers mentioned. Appropriate is vague as fuck. What? What the fuck? Oh, shit. Hold on. No, Disney didn't cancel. The fact that he said it was a disgrace is heavily implying it was racist. Yeah, most likely. All right, here's a day in the life of a divorced dad.
Here's a day in the life of a divorced dad. At 9 a.m., I wake up on my mattress on the ground. For breakfast, I grab my ketchup so I can put it on my first microwave potato of the day. I eat in silence next to my roommate, Gary. He moved in because I couldn't afford my mortgage. Every straight single adult male's roommate is unnecessarily hairy. Around 11 a.m., something strange happens. I have a feeling. I immediately bottle it up and ignore it forever. At noon, I look over some divorce documents while Gary loudly watches adult videos. For lunch, I eat another microwave potato. This meal is the only warmth I know. At 2, I go through Instagram and DM college girls. I may be past my prime with no money, connection, sexual endurance, or personality, but at 3 p.m., my shrew of an ex-wife drops off my failed son Tyler. Me and her have a calm discussion about a few private matters. Some days I don't know why I fought so hard for joint custody. Tyler wants to be a rapper.
Man, I swear, my dad keeps testing me. I'ma turn around, tell the cops he Malik.
Hey, he's starting to get pretty good. At 6 p.m., it's time for dinner. I put a potato in the microwave for 3 minutes. The skin becomes rough and wrinkled, much like me, burning hot on the inside like the rage left in me from the divorce. I offer half my potato to my son. No butter, no seasoning. He declines. Clearly, his mother has been spoiling him. I leave my ex-wife an angry voicemail about how she ruined my life. After a few hours of sobbing, I slip into a food coma. I will sleep here until morning, and that's my day.
I don't know where the Mog fight is, but Hassan is in the Mog area on the 50-second video. He was farming the Albinurax. That's it, because he can't defeat Melania Blade of Mikola. Can't wait for DLC day. Wait, so I actually never fought Mog? Blinken admitted Israel's not being effective in Gaza. Hamas leadership is safe. Feet under the ground. We can't reach them, so hospitals and schools has to be bombed. They're cowards hiding in safety, right? Why do air raids if you know it won't be effective? Wait, what? I have 2 days to defeat Mog. Okay, well, I can do it. I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. It's easy for me. This shit comes easy to me because this is what I look like. White Boy Summer continues today at Trump rally. Honestly, this shit looks fire. I don't know why. I don't know why people are hating on my man. He literally looks Australian, and I like that. I like that the American hogs are turning more Australian by the moment. I respect that. I think it's great. They nerfed your whole build. Whatever, dude. I'll fucking figure it out. Zionists, we have become weird about interracial marriage for some reason. American Jews have a problem. 61% say they'll vote for Biden. 61% who married since 2010 married out. Tragically, they're abandoning their people, their heritage, and their nation. That's sick. Thank you, Israel Advocacy Movement, for posting Israel Advocacy in the most fascist terms possible. Once again, I will repeat, they are anti-miscegenation. That's cool. Once again, yet another glaringly obvious example. Yet another glaringly obvious example that Israel is abso-fucking-lutely doing, Zionist fascism. Unfortunately, this is a very accurate representation of many Jews come from a Jewish family. They are not wrong at all. What the fuck do you mean? Please tell me that you're trying to do a top-of-the-hour ad break debate. What the fuck are you talking about? Being anti-miscegenation? Like saying 61% of Jews who got married since 2010, married out, as in not married into the Jewish faith. Who gives a shit? Please explain yourself. It's a religious thing, I'm pretty sure. What do you mean it's a religious thing? What? Yeah, I know, dude. It's still dumb as fuck. I'm not gonna lie, I was just trying to get on the screen, but I can't think of any good talking points. I don't believe in that law. Okay. Anyway, we're not gonna do the top of the hour ad break, obviously, because it passed. And I started at like the half hour point. Yeah, Israeli President Herzog also, who is supposed to be like IDF approves plans for a Lebanon offensive. The head of the IDF Northern Command, Major General Ori Gordon, and head of the Operations Directorate, Major General Oded Basiuk, approved battle plans today, the military says. IDF, in a statement, says the generals held an assessment during which operational plans for an offensive in Lebanon were approved. Top commanders also made a decision regarding accelerating the readiness of our forces on the ground, the military adds. Yeah, that's great. They should, yeah, fighting a two-front war is always really cool and not trouble for a dying fascist movement. Famously, fascist movements always pop off when they do that. It's like the meme, the gamblers. 90% of fascists always refuse to engage in a two-front war before winning. Okay, that's just how it works. Famously, a third. That's usually what is really successful. So congratulations. Yeah, just wait until you see the Al Jazeera report on your playlist on the Hezbollah surveillance UAV. Pretty crazy. Yeah, when you can't destroy a guerrilla movement resisting against your improper, illegal ethnic cleansing campaign, as you are the belligerent occupier, so it's already illegal for you to do so. When you can't fucking defeat like a bunch of orphans, okay, with their bathtub rockets that they make, okay, in an underground tunnel system, here's what you should do. Go and pick another fucking fight with a much better military, like an actual military with actual rockets, with actual targeting systems, an actual military that you've lost to before, which is kind of crazy. It's like, you've already done this before. You've literally done this and you have lost. What the fuck is this? It makes no dang sense. What is this? Ukrainian soldier in Gaza fighting for Israel? An Israeli soldier uploads a video of him dancing in Gaza. His weapon is adorned in the colors of the Ukrainian flag. Bro, that's crazy. Okay. Meanwhile, his countrymen are getting dragged off the streets to be butchered in the front lines in Ukraine. That is crazy. That is actually so fucking insane that this dude, instead of defending Ukraine, shipped his ass out to Israel to go fight in Gaza. What the fuck are you doing? Defend Ukraine, bro. What are you doing? That makes no fucking sense. Like, could you please explain how Israel lost to Hezbollah? I don't know history, and most of the things I've heard is the results of the 2006 war were inconclusive. Okay. Do you think America lost in Vietnam? Do you think America lost in Afghanistan? If the answer to those questions are yes, then Israel, which no longer is in Lebanon, lost in Lebanon. That's how it works. Anyway, my man was like, honestly, I just want to kill children. Like, I don't want to really fucking fight against dudes that have at least, like, you know, I don't want to fight against dudes that have like air support. So that's why I'm out here instead. To be fair, you're less likely to die killing a family of 4 in Gaza than actual fighting an actual military trained battalion. Yeah. Oh my Lord. Who could have predicted this? Netanyahu attacks the Biden administration in a new video. I'm sorry, but Biden going full genocide Joe, torching his electoral chances in 80% of Gaza in order to cover for Bibi's war crimes, only to have Bibi predictably start running campaign ads for Trump is so perfectly Scorpion and the Frog. You couldn't write it better. Yeah, there is. I mean, this is the most expected thing. This is what he's been doing since day one. So yeah, it doesn't even look good from like a domestic political calculation. This is literally what Biden has been doing. And this is literally what Bibi has been doing this entire time. Nothing has changed. It is mind-boggling that this is what is going on. I've been saying this over and over again. Nobody fucking listens to me. The White House said this video is still about the one shipment that was paused. Yeah, that's insane. You are a spoiled, petulant child. Okay? Oh my God. Oh my fucking God. Okay, let's start with this. Lamau's still crying about that. I know, it's just fucking insane. Okay, I'm just banning people that fucking try to type Noam Chomsky in the chat. Like, once again, we don't know yet. It is not 100% confirmed. If it is, I'll talk about it. Okay? I hate that people just keep posting the fucking Jacobin article. It is right here. Jacobin posted an obituary. I don't understand what goes on in the minds of people. Like, I don't get it. What is confirmation? Someone from his family or another fucking like news. Dude, Noam Chomsky is an incredibly famous linguist and American historian. Like, he is a profoundly important individual for American academia, okay? If he fucking dies, the New York Times is going to post an obituary. It's not just going to be Jacobin. Like, that's no disrespect. No disrespect to Jacobin, but like, I don't know. Professor Noam Chomsky has just died, a prolific writer, esteemed professor, and passionate critic of Israel and advocate for Palestinians. May he rest in peace. Must have just happened. A colleague from Mass let me know. I don't have, like, this is not enough. The timing of these articles illustrates how up in the air this is right now. Yeah, look at this. Renowned linguist Noam Chomsky recovers in Brazilian hospital from Media News. Not like, I don't know about it either. You said a Jacobin article wasn't enough, so someone linked you a tweet. I know. It's really, really frustrating. Why be responsible when you can be fast, though? Twitter's just saying all the shit Noam got wrong over the years. I hate everyone. Yeah, people are already fucking like, people are already running for this. What is this? Pray for Patrick? I'm going to have an aneurysm. I'm going to have an aneurysm. Please stop memeing, okay? Please, I beg of you. We're covering the fucking news, okay? Suck my dick, everybody. Jesus Christ. I don't know. We don't know yet. Until there's like direct confirmation, I will not be fucking saying that Noam Chomsky is dead, okay? The likelihood is high. He was 900,000 years old, okay? He was 900,000 years old. And he had a fucking pretty bad stroke 6 days ago. Okay? Like a pretty bad stroke that, as far as we understand, rendered him unable to speak. So obviously, you know, things are not looking too great when you're like 95 years old and you have a pretty bad fucking stroke. What the fuck? Oh, Jesus. Okay. Yeah, no, I know. I saw the text. Yeah, she is a good guard dog. You were about to get your ass jumped, dude. Yeah. It's March. We're taking stuff out of the we're taking stuff out of the studio. You got half a chat desperate to dunk on a dude who just died, on the other half trying to debate his death. I know. This is why I was like, everyone's going to be really fucking annoying about this shit. All right. Let's look at this Netanyahu post. Yanis Varoufakis wrote an article about his death 7 minutes ago. It's fine, dude. I don't know. I will be waiting for more confirmation from like a New York Times or an Associated Press. Okay. What difference does it make if I cover it right now or if I cover it literally 30 minutes from now? Okay. What difference does it make? Will you fucking die? Will you have a stroke? Oh my God. Oh my fucking God. This is one of the moments where I just like absolutely fucking despise streaming. Holy shit, dude. People are just like not being normal about this at all. Can't tell if chat is memeing or really care this much. No, of course a lot of people care. Noam Chomsky is like pretty important. Noam Chomsky is pretty important for a lot of chatters in here. Okay. Myself included. But they're like, you have to break the story that he is dead. You have to. He didn't write an article 7 minutes ago. The New Statesman published an obituary. Yeah, I think a lot of people don't understand that obituaries are pre-written for famous people like this. Okay. And I don't really know personally a time when this has happened where people have pre-fired obituaries. Okay. But it does seem personally to me like Jacobin pre-fired their obituary and then everyone else started fucking also posting obituaries. But ultimately there is no like, there's no clip this. Hasanabi has meltdown over Noam Chomsky. Yeah, clip it and fucking ship it. I just don't really understand why people are like, you have to cover this right now. Okay. Anyway, let's fucking let's look at this video.
When Secretary Blinken was recently here in Israel, we had a candid conversation. I said I deeply appreciated the support the U.S. has given Israel from the beginning of the war. But I also said something else. I said it's inconceivable that in the past few months, the administration has been withholding weapons and ammunition to Israel. Israel, America's closest ally, fighting for its life, fighting against Iran and our other common enemies. Secretary Blinken assured me that the administration is working day and night to remove these bottlenecks. I certainly hope that's the case. It should be the case. During World War II, Churchill told the United States, "Give us the tools, we'll do the job." And I say, give us the tools and we'll finish the job a lot faster. When Secretary Blinken was recently here in Israel, we had a candid conversation.
Give us the tools. Yeah. Okay. Breaking. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre. We genuinely do not know what he's talking about. There is one shipment that was paused. Everything else is moving. That's crazy. That he's like cooking them. Wait, did he talk about Trump or did he talk about Biden more? Or is this the only thing that he put out? Question. Netanyahu said you assured him last week the U.S. is working to remove the pause on certain weapons to Israel. Is this accurate? We are continuing to review one shipment, but everything else is moving as it normally would.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu posted about an hour ago, conveniently timed for this press conference, a video talking about U.S. pause on some weapons to Israel, and said you assured him last week that U.S. is working to remove those bottlenecks. Is this an accurate characterization of what you told him? If not, what did you tell him? Will the U.S. remove its holds on these bombs?
First, it's very important to remember that our security relationship with Israel goes well beyond Gaza. Israel is facing a multiplicity of threats and challenges, including in the north from Hezbollah, from Iran, from the Houthis in the Red Sea, from various groups that are aligned against Israel and in many cases beholden to Iran. So the president's been very clear from day one that he will do everything he can to make sure that Israel has what it needs to effectively defend itself against these threats. And a big part of that as well is making sure that in providing that assistance to Israel, it has a strong deterrent, which is the best way to avoid more conflict, to avoid more war, to avoid what we're already seeing in Gaza spreading to other areas, to other fronts. That's been one of our objectives from day one. So we're committed to that. We, as you know, are continuing to review one shipment that President Biden has talked about with regard to 2,000-pound bombs because of our concerns about their use in a densely populated area like Rafah. That remains under review. But everything else is moving as it normally would move. And again, with the perspective of making sure that Israel has what it needs to defend itself against this multiplicity of challenges. With regard to the ceasefire.
How do you explain this shit to people on the verge of anti-Semitism? Bro, I don't know. I don't know how you can turn around. Like, it's just, America is a dying empire and they still are they are susceptible to making miscalculations in terms of like how much unconditional support should be afforded to Israel. And I think that is what's going on, because there's still plenty of fucking people within the State Department structure that is like literally begging there to be some level of restraint. And I think that there is like ideologically committed Zionists that are just genuinely refusing to hear that. And I think that's what it is. But ultimately, obviously, Zionism has nothing to do with Judaism. It's fucking ridiculous. Like, just, you know, like it's basically like asking me, what do you do when you see like a black guy rob someone and a person is like on the verge of being anti-black racist? It's no different than that. Okay? Because ultimately the obvious underlying fundamental here is that regardless of the way that Israel presents itself as a defender of Judaism and claims that to be Zionist is to be a Jew, okay, that is still not the case. Why is Zionism such a corner piece for these freaks' worldview? Like, will they actually die if Israel's not there? Generally don't understand valuing a state above basic human rights. I think that maybe some people, beyond their calculations and beyond their like genuine commitment to Israel, are looking at the situation and going, if we take an L here, it's just basically showing the rest of the world that we have taken an L. And if Israel takes an L, it looks like America is taking an L. Like, maybe that's the reason. I can't really think of any other genuine reason as to why America has not restrained Israel even a little bit at this point. Like, it is pretty fucking crazy. Like, it's a big damned if you do, damned if you don't situation in front of us, in front of the American State Department. It's like, if they fucking restrain Israel, if they force Israel to capitulate, if they force Israel to a ceasefire, then it's like, it looks like they, backed the wrong horse. It looks like, it looks, and you can hear this from Israeli officials. They say it all the time. It's giving Hamas a W for October 7. That's the way they view it. That's the calculation that Israeli officials have here, is like any kind of concession or capitulation to Hamas in the negotiations process means that you literally have taken an L. You've admitted that, like, October 7 was very successful as a military operation. You achieved their goals. You gave them their goals. And there's only two different ways that this goes down historically. Well, three different ways. One, you fucking take the L early, which rarely ever happens. The offending party, the original offending party, the settler colonial party, takes the L and concedes and moves on, which almost never fucking happens, right? Or you have a full-blown 20-year occupation and they take the fucking L, later down the line, which Israel's been doing that for 75 years. So to them, it's like, any other Sunday, I guess. Or last but not least, the American version of this is full tilt ethnic cleansing in the way that we did to the indigenous population here. The difference is, of course, like, that happened hundreds of years ago without social media, without telecommunications being the way that they are, without like actually seeing the humanity of the victims immediately, and being able to make up your mind about the humanity of those impacted by the settler colonial entity here. So I think that's what it is. That's what is that Israel has a choice to make here, and they don't want to seemingly make the adult choice. Maybe I'm naive, but I think it's due to them believing that the U.S. reigns in Israel and U.S. soft power is harmed due to the fact that they could have reigned them in a while ago. Even so, I don't get it. No, Israel's calculation is like, America unconditionally is our ally no matter what happens. If we fucking pull them in, if we go into Lebanon, America will come and follow us. Because obviously, in order to defend against Lebanon, you're going to need America. You can't just fucking do this on your own. So I think that's what the calculation on the Israeli front is. It's just like, they have to support us if we go into Lebanon. So we're going to go into Lebanon and they're going to support us. America, on the other hand, is probably not interested in going into a full-blown regional conflict with a fucking armed military, and that isn't like Hamas, but instead is like an actual armed military group with a lot of fucking fighting experience, with targeting systems, with missiles that aren't just simply, missiles that people made in a fucking tunnel, like actual missiles that can go and actual missiles that can target Tel Aviv. And that is before we even start talking about Iran. Think about the difference between the Houthis, Ansar Allah, and what they've been able to accomplish with the phenomenal limitations that they've had so far. Why were they able to accomplish it? Because they're a fucking nation state at the end of the day. They're a nation state that's, survived an ethnic cleansing campaign, a civil war, blah, blah, blah. But ultimately, think about what a nation state can do in the region in comparison to what Hamas has done to Israel. Hezbollah publishes drone footage claiming to show surveillance of Haifa. And there you go. It's the fourth video on the docket. What more do you need to know? This is like, the response to this is still incredibly arrogant and incredibly entitled, which is what Israel has known, which is what Israel has done. Ultimately, it is legitimately buying. Israeli arms sales break record for a third year in a row, reaching $13 billion in 2023. Defense Ministry says massive exports come as industries remain committed to Israeli war effort. Air defense systems account for more than a third of sales. Motherfuckers still saying, bring the 120 hostages home. Israel has killed more hostages than it has saved. Okay? If you want to bring the hostages home, do the ceasefire deal. Don't come in here and fucking complain to me, because what you are doing when you come in here and say, bring the hostages home, when I'm talking about like Israel potentially opening up a new front in this war, is basically saying you only care about the hostages as a talking point. You don't give a shit. A talking point that justifies the ethnic cleansing campaign in your eyes, which it doesn't. So that's it. But yes, we're going to talk about Biden's new immigration policy, and then we'll get to Israel in a little bit.
Biden is set to announce 2 major immigration programs. One to protect nearly 500,000 spouses of U.S. citizens from deportation, and another to make it easier for some migrants, including so-called dreamers, to get work visas. That's according to a source familiar with the discussions. The first new policy would apply to undocumented immigrants who have been married to U.S. citizens and have been living in the U.S. for more than 10 years, allowing them to apply for legal permanent residence without leaving the country. Some children would also be protected.
Essentially, this new policy that would be aimed at keeping families together. So a U.S. citizen who's married to an undocumented spouse wouldn't have to be apart from their spouse for a long period of time just to get this legal status that they are already eligible for.
Another new policy, according to 2 officials, would streamline the process for young undocumented immigrants to apply for work visas.
In order to be eligible for this, you have to have received a higher education degree from an institution here in the United States, and also an employment offer in a field that aligns exactly with that major or degree that you received here.
Biden has been under pressure from immigration advocates after his executive order went into effect last month, strictly limiting asylum requests on the southern border. Why is this announcement so significant today?
This could be the administration's way of showing, hey, look, we are very clear-eyed about the fact that we need to restrict asylum, but that we also need to provide legal pathways for migrants, especially those migrants who have been here for many, many years.
Critics claim Biden's policy changes being announced today amount to a mass amnesty program, and they could face legal challenges.
Bro, this is called what American immigration policy is, by the way. Like, this has been in place for many, many years. He's just like reinstating it. As far as I understand, it's not like the if you're an undocumented migrant and you've lived in the United States and you're married to an American citizen, like offering amnesty is literally the status quo. That is like normal. That is the normal process. Many other countries that do not have that do not have the same like looser immigration restrictions, like countries that are significantly more restrictive on immigration also have this policy, by the way. It is literally a normal policy to have. Okay? So this is a good thing overall. It is crazy that it's even a question. But of course, what do I always tell you? When Democrats do something positive, when Democrats even reinforce things that are good, that have been in the books, the laws that have been in the books, for example, Republicans now have something to fight against. This is an objectively good policy. It's an objectively popular policy. It is an objectively popular policy amongst Trump Republicans, mind you. That's why I always say immigration and the way that like the median voter analyzes it is truly very fucking unique. Americans that will be like build the wall and and deport every fucking undocumented migrant will also in the same breath say we should offer legal pathways to citizenship for people that have lived here. How can you want to deport every undocumented migrant while simultaneously, by the same margins, if not more popular, offer pathways to citizenship and amnesty to the fucking 12 million undocumented migrants living on U.S. soil? It doesn't make any sense. This is something that you have to remember always when talking about immigration. People either look at one side of that or the other and lose sight of the fact that Americans are fucking stupid, okay? They're just dumb. They're stupid. Do you understand? That's just, if anything, those polls show that, especially on immigration and many other issues, but especially on immigration, Americans are dumb as fuck and don't know what they actually want and don't recognize that they are simultaneously advocating for two diametrically opposite policy programs for a group of individuals, okay?
President Biden is set to take executive action to protect about 500,000 undocumented immigrants from.
I know this, you're not quite right. Illegal entry bars you from ever naturalizing. If you enter with a visa and overstay, that is forgiven with a marriage. DACA recipients can be naturalized by marriage. Pending or successful asylees can naturalize by marriage. Illegal entrants and rejected asylees are not eligible to naturalize even by marriage. Yes. Yes, it is an extension on the like normal process that exists though. The argument is for most countries, what I'm trying to say is for most countries, marriage gives you citizenship. Like no matter how fucking restrictive, unless we're talking about like Japan, and even Japan is actually loosening their restrictions on these sort of things. Literally, if you marry a citizen of the country, you can get a fucking citizenship. Okay? Like there is no world in which like this is a contentious subject. It is also very popular. It is also a very popular policy. People understand this as a thing. There are television shows directly surrounding this immigration process. We used to watch them. It's called 90 Day Fiancé. Okay? Like, it's ridiculous that this is even a point of contention.
From being deported. The sweeping immigration policy will allow certain undocumented spouses of U.S. citizens to apply for permanent residency without having to leave the country. It's one of the federal government's biggest relief initiatives since DACA. That's the program that protects undocumented immigrants who came to the U.S. as children from deportation and lets them work in the U.S. CNN's Arlette Saenz.
Good thing the Dems made it an issue. No. This is the right way to make this an issue. Not the wrong way to make this an issue. Legalizing this process and creating a code for how we can offer amnesty to 500,000 undocumented migrants that are married to American citizens right now and their children potentially is actually a good thing. I will always tell you when something is good. When the Democrats do something good, I will openly recognize that it is good. And I will tell you that it is good. This is one of those things. This is a good thing. This is a Biden W. Okay? Having said that, however, the other side of the story, something that I'm trying to explain to you is like how hard they will fight for this. Because will they fight hard for this? Because the Republicans will absolutely focus on this and say, see, Brandon's not with the cause. Brandon wants undocumented migrant rapist criminals to fucking have a citizenship in the United States of America. That's fucking bullshit, brother. They're giving them more rights than us. Now, on the one side, if you were genuinely pro-immigration and pro-immigrant, pro-undocumented immigrant in this country, like the Democratic Party claims that they used to be and claims that they are every 4 fucking years, then you could just say, well, guess what? We built the foundation for why that argument that you're presenting is fucking completely false. The issue is the Democrats didn't actually do that. They leaned into the reactionary framing that immigration is actually a national security problem. And so now it does look like a group of people that are being inconsistent on the matter. Okay? That's the problem here. That is the major issue. So I don't know how hard they will fight for this. I really hope that they fight for this hard. 2 problems here is obviously like the Republicans are gonna now have something to pick. They now have something to yell about. Okay? They now have something to focus on because that's what happens when the progressive party, the marginally more progressive party, actually pushes forward legislation or an executive order that is genuinely progressive, then the reactionary Republicans can actually focus on that and attack that instead of trying to claw back all of the hard-earned, hard-fought civil liberties that the Republican Party is like basically working on undermining.
White House for us.
What the fuck? 52.8% of offenders in cases involving criminal abuse were Native Americans. 73% of offenders in cases involving sexual conduct were Native American. 84% of offenders in cases involving statutory rape were Native American. What the fuck? Is this guy like a fucking... Is this like a new thing? Is this like anti-Native American arguments? Like, what the fuck's happening? What kind of racist ass shit is this? Am I misunderstanding what the fuck's going on here? The fuck? Bros from 1823? Yeah. When you say Native American, do you mean like natural, like... were you trying to say, oh my God, were you trying to say natural, like US born? Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. I think he meant US born, like natural, US citizen, natural, not even naturalized, but like a, oh my God. Bro, that's so fucking funny. When he said Native American, we thought you meant like indigenous people. I'm like, there is no fucking way those stats are correct. Just bringing in who does the most, simple Google search. Wait, what? Who does the most? Like what? What the fuck? What is happening? What is he saying? Does he mean indigenous populations, like actual, like in reservations and shit? You know what he's saying? No, I don't. Because what he's saying is ridiculous. Especially because of like the population size. Okay? the population size of like Native Americans is so tiny that it's ridiculous. I don't like sex offender statistics from the United States Sentencing Commission, quick facts. It literally immediately destroys this argument. What the fuck? 75.1% of offenders in cases involving child pornography were white. 52.8% of offenders in cases involving criminal sexual abuse were Native American. Native Americans were 11.9% of sex abuse and sexual misconduct. 84.6% of offenders in cases involving, in fiscal year 2018. He's alive, by the way. His wife confirmed it. No, I don't think he meant white. I think he was like straight up saying like Native Americans are doing like they're doing all of it, which is crazy. The chatter, this country, they don't know. Okay, I'm good, but how if they are not good? Also, what the fuck are we talking about with Native Americans? We're talking about immigration, big dog. Like, what is happening? What is going on? We were literally talking about immigration and how and immigrants are viewed in American political discourse from the framework of being rapists and drug dealers and shit. And this guy literally talks about the one group of individuals that are unironically not immigrants, like straight up. Like not even remotely immigrants, like people that can trace their lineage back to pre-America. And you're literally over here talking about Native Americans. What the fuck is going on? Are you making an argument for like more migration? Like what the fuck is happening here? That was to justify Gaza? Wait, what? Make sure you don't drink too much liquid when you take some medicine. Some people are clearly diluting the effects. I don't know what's happening. Yeah, stats from the U.S. Sentencing Commission are going to be federal charges. Most sex crimes are prosecuted at the state level, but tribal courts probably report their stats to the feds. Just a guess. No, you locked it. You actually fucking nailed it. That is most likely because it's considered a tribal offense. So therefore, it's not state prosecution, which is where most of the sexual assault and sexual abuse happens, but instead, happening on tribal lands, and therefore that's the reason why there's an insane amount of disparity there in the percentages, especially considering how small of a population the native population is in the United States of America. Having said that, it's neither here nor there. This has nothing to do with the conversation that we were having, because we're talking about immigration, which is so odd to bring forward this this argument. But I'm glad that Chatter utilized his Googling technique without without really looking into it. I think Chatter just has a traumatic brain injury. Maybe he got hit with the John Fetterman syndrome. Anyway, let's continue.
Arlette, what more can you tell us about this executive action by the president? We're expecting an announcement this afternoon.
Yeah, Jim, this really marks a sweeping plan offering relief to undocumented immigrants in this country as President Biden is trying to tackle one of the thorniest political issues, border security and immigration, that has really vexed this country for decades. Now, this plan would essentially allow certain undocumented spouses married to U.S. citizens and their children to remain in the country as they apply for permanent residence. That's a change of the current policy, which requires that they leave the country to do so, really raising questions about whether they would be apprehended upon their return.
This helps like 25 people? No, it helps 500,000 people, by the way. No, it doesn't help 25 people. It helps 500,000 people. There are currently more than 12 million undocumented immigrants living on U.S. soil right now, okay? The majority of them are visa overstayers, and this immediately helps 500,000 undocumented immigrants.
They will now be able to stay here without fear of deportation. Now, this would apply to undocumented individuals who have been living in the U.S. for 10 years and married to a U.S. citizen as of yesterday. They would be allowed to work permanently or legally here in the U.S. And it's estimated.
What? This guy's saying, sorry, it's not the immigrants that we need to fear for grape? Brother, it's also not Native Americans. I hope you understand that. Okay? It's what Google says. Simple copy paste. Sorry, I was just trying to show that it isn't immigrants that we have to fear for the act of grape. No, the lawyer Chatter already correctly told you. If you don't understand the full details of statistics, okay? The full details of statistics, and what those statistics are telling you without exercising a level of fucking critical thinking, comprehending that, for example, Native Americans constitute like 2% of the American population overall. Do you think that it makes sense that they would be responsible for 84% of sexual assault? Like 2% of the population? Like, think about that. 2% of the population. You would have to have literally fucking Native Americans like leaving reservations and just going on a fucking tear for those numbers to make sense. Okay? Of all the sexual assaults in the United States? No, of course not. What you have to realize is that perhaps Native Americans in the statistics that you're showing, because those are federal statistics, okay, from the American Sentencing Commission, Native American federal offenders are going to be overrepresented. Most crimes are prosecuted not at the federal level, but at the state level, okay, in the United States of America. Most crimes are happening at the state level, not at the federal level, unless it's a federal crime, okay? Native Americans, however, given that they live on reservations, are prosecuted at the federal level, which is precisely the reason why statistics that you're showing actually show this major disparity. Native Americans being 2% of the population, yet comprising 11% of the prison population for the offense characteristics, means that there is a massive disparity here. Where could that disparity come from? Well, that disparity actually comes from the fact that because they are Native Americans and live on reservations, the criminal prosecution for the reservations happens on the federal level. Read what MHUD said. Yeah. 1 in 3 Native women will report being sexually assaulted on the reservation. I think First Nation numbers are similar. It's been a very bad problem for decades, but a huge number of those crimes are done by white men. The statistics worded very weird. Yeah. There's also a massive problem with sexual assaults against Native Americans. They make up a massive amount of the victims in that regard as well. And there's also there are studies conducted on that as well. Here. Sexual assaults on Native American reservations in the U.S. Sexual assaults have been identified as a public health crisis. Native American women in the United States who live on federal Native American reservations are disproportionately more likely to be victims of sexual violence than other groups in the United States. Like many victims of sexual violence, often Native women deal with adverse health effects. Native American women who have been sexually assaulted on a reservation are often unable to access necessary resources because of the myriad of issues such as poverty, child abuse, colonialization, and complex jurisdictional issues. There must be more cultural sensitivity and increased awareness when working to address this issue. Additionally, each tribe must be approached separately because each tribe experiences sexual assault on the reservation differently. There must be understanding that the generalizability of the Native American tribes in sexual assault is ineffective. 1 in 3 Native American women report being raped during their lifetime at a rate 2.5% higher than other groups. White men commit a large percentage of the sexual assault crimes against Native Americans. I'm going to repeat that one more time. White men commit a large percentage of the sexual assault crimes against Native Americans. Sexual assault has serious physical, emotional, and economic effects. Jurisdictional issues, lack of resources, gender, poverty, race, and child abuse all play a part in this issue. We have completely sidestepped from the major point of contention here. Okay? Noam Chomsky's wife confirmed he's hospitalized in Brazil as of 15:26 Eastern Time, June 18th, 2024. Yanis Varoufakis retracted his article claiming Chomsky passed away. Once again, chatters, you need to shut the fuck up sometimes, okay? There are serious limitations with finding one solution and model for Native women across the United States. There are many different experiences, cultures, tribes, and demographics. Each tribal nation must approach sexual violence survivor advocacy differently because of the vastly different laws and cultures throughout the tribes in the United States. While it is helpful to do research on general ideas for Native women, for example, culturally sensitive advocates, each tribe must be researched in more detail. Research and prevention efforts must include children who have been sexually abused. There's little evidence of the outcomes and progress currently. So how do we end up talking about this? Because a chatter came in here and was like, Native Americans are just, massive rapists, is what he was trying to fucking say. My understanding is that any tribal person who commits a sexual crime is under federal jurisdiction regardless of the status of the offended party, but any non-tribal person committing a sexual crime against a tribal person, it is unclear. It is under tribal jurisdiction, which is very limited in their ability to prosecute. Yes. I am so sure he didn't mean indigenous people. Hassan just keeps going with it. No, he did. He did mean that. Okay? It is not a misunderstanding. He did mean that. He doubled down on it. What the fuck are you talking about? He literally did. We found the statistics that he was bringing forward. Okay? We found the statistics, and now I'm describing to him why he misunderstood the statistics that he's posting. Okay? He was trying to do 1350 shit, but for Native Americans, because he was looking at federal offenders. Okay? He was looking at federal offense statistics. Native Americans predominantly live in tribal territory, in reservations. Therefore, sexual assault, which normally is prosecuted under state courts, sexual assaults which are normally prosecuted in state courts, and by the way, there is already like and is a state statute which is already complex and shitty in the way that we process it, and also in the way that we analyze it amongst like white Americans and black Americans and like and non-native populations in general. But this adds another layer of complexity, because sexual assaults done by Native Americans are under federal jurisdiction. Therefore, they are overrepresented as offenders under federal jurisdiction, not because there is just like a massive amount of Native Americans that are going around and doing rapes, but because Native Americans living on reservations for the most part will be handled in federal courts rather than state courts. Anyway, that's it. But if a non-reservation resident, like a white dude, is the perpetrator, then he gets tried under reservation law, which is weak and has little power to do anything. Yes. Okay. Check this out. Good news. I have never see it. Oh, okay. Reports Noam Chomsky has died are fake. His wife, Valeria, tells me he is well. Anyway, in other good news, we're gonna move away from this point here. And if you are, Jacobin took down the obituary. Good. We're gonna get back to the new sweeping immigration policy, which will also sweep your mind at the top of the hour if you are not subscribed. I don't even know what that fucking means, but it doesn't matter. I'm just serving the 3-minute ad break. God damn it, dude. Fuck it. Okay, here's the 3-minute ad break now. Just subscribe for $5 or for free with a Twitch Prime, or you will see the 3-minute ad break. Fuck you. Here's we're getting back to this point.
About 500,000 spouses of U.S. citizens and then 50,000 children. Now, this comes just a few weeks after President Biden announced that major crackdown at the U.S. southern border, shutting off the ability of migrants crossing illegally to seek asylum when a certain threshold is met. That is something that polling has shown a majority of Americans have agreed with. If you take a look at a poll released a bit earlier this month, it was 70% approved of that action, 30% did not. But the move really frustrated a lot of immigration advocates and progressives in the president's party. So part of what Biden's trying to do here is appeal to some of those groups, deal with some of their concerns. And also it's a move that could appeal to Latino voters in key states like Arizona, Nevada, and Georgia.
All right, Arlette Saenz over at the White House for us. Thank you so much. In the meantime, Republicans are already slamming President Biden's executive action on immigration. And of course, former President Donald Trump has been offering a much more draconian vision for his immigration policy, promising mass deportations and detention camps for undocumented migrants, blasting those who cross the border illegally as, quote, poisoning the blood of this country. Let's discuss with CNN political commentators Maria Cardona and Scott Jennings. Maria, you're with me here in the studio. Let me go to you first. You were telling me you might be over there at the White House later today for this announcement. What do you think? Obviously, this is going to be welcomed by progressives, Latinos in this country, because just recently the president announced a pretty tough policy cracking down on asylum at the border. What do you think?
But this is more than it being welcomed by Latinos and progressives. It's going to be welcomed by the majority of American voters. We have seen in poll after poll after poll that the American people are not anti-immigrant. They're anti-chaos. They want solutions. And guess which party has been the one that has been offering the solutions that the American people want and that we know work? Those solutions are based on a balanced approach, strong, smart border security, which frankly the president and Democrats tried to do with Republicans on their bill until they said absolutely not, because Donald Trump wants to weaponize the issue, not solve it. And so President Biden had to take executive actions on his own to shore up border security. And so now President Biden is taking the second step, which is expanding legal pathways. Again, something that the vast majority of Americans in swing states support. And this is what the solution looks like. Democrats have been trying to do this for decades. It has been Republicans that have been the ones, especially since Donald Trump came on.
Do you guys see why this is stupid? Do you understand why this is a stupid argument to make? Democrats are trying to fucking stop the immigrant rape and crime with reasonable, sound, right-wing policy. Like, you can't literally, on the one hand, advocate for amnesty while simultaneously say, well, some immigrants need to be deported, okay? It is very, very, very stupid. It is very dumb.
Onto the scene that only want to weaponize this issue.
Yeah, Scott, let me ask you, I mean, do you think that Republicans in Congress sort of missed an opportunity there? They had a chance, they had a
Yes, I will be watching the fucking debate. Of course, I am very excited. And Noam Chomsky didn't die. Noam Chomsky didn't fucking die. Shut the fuck up. Noam Chomsky is not dead.
bipartisan bill that James Langford from Oklahoma was helping to shepherd through the Senate.
You both weaponized the issue?
And now, because Donald Trump said, you know what, guys, let's not do this until after the election, the president's going out there and doing executive actions.
I don't know, maybe. I mean, they couldn't get Congress to agree. It's not the first time an issue couldn't find agreement in Congress. Won't be the last. I mean, if you're worried about reliving the past, why didn't Joe Biden do this on his first day in office, as opposed to doing it today here in the shadow of a presidential campaign? I mean, the reality is he's governing by political panic. If this is such a great idea, why didn't he do this on day one? Why didn't he do last week's executive order on day one? Why did he cancel all of Trump's immigration orders? I agree with Maria. People are tired of chaos, and they believe the chaos has been caused by Joe Biden and the way he's handled this for the last 3.5 years. The polling is clear. By the way, politically, I don't think the American people are in a pro-amnesty mood right now. You look at what Trump is proposing.
See?
There's a lot of polling that shows...
No, there isn't. There's a lot of polling that shows we have to fucking deport all immigrants. And then there's a lot of polling that also from the same fucking people shows we have to give amnesty to all the immigrants that are living on U.S. soil. Okay? Those polls are fucking idiotic. You can literally show the exact same thing. New York Times went into the focus group on people who are reluctantly voting for either candidate, or people who do not know if they want to vote for either candidate. And focus groups are obviously not the same as polls, but it does kind of show how people can have the same exact opinion in the same fucking brain, okay? There were people on that focus group that the New York Times talked to that literally said in the same breath, I like Trump's policy of deporting 12 million undocumented migrants. And then they were like, well, what do you think about amnesty to all of the undocumented immigrants? And they said, yes, I like that as well. We've been doing this for years. I've been covering this shit for fucking years, okay? Especially immigration. Especially immigration. Me being a motherfucking, anchor baby myself, this is something I've talked about quite a bit. And everything points to this weird inconsistency in the minds of Americans. It just shows that Americans are fucking stupid, okay? That's it. So even if you're looking for the popularity narrative for, helping your reelection chances, you can lean on either side of the issue. Okay? This is why I think it is a major L for the Democratic Party to capitulate the right-wing framing on the matter. One, because it's not correct. The underlying premise is just incorrect. I'm not even saying like, oh, they're confused, they're misguided. It's just straight up objectively incorrect. The empirical evidence shows that undocumented migrants do less crime per capita than natural-born U.S. citizens, okay? That's it. So the underlying premise is built on publican hysteria and nothing else. There is no real fucking argument for this, okay? A lot of this issue, when it comes to immigration being a major burden on the economy, all of that is built around complete falsehoods. Okay? Complete falsehoods. And yet, because Republicans run this line so frequently, and Americans are so fucking stupid, they eat this propaganda, that you see the Democratic Party capitulate to it because they look at the polls and they're like, well, everyone's real reactionary about, migrants. It seems like we have to also say that migrants are bad and doing rape or whatever the fuck. The adequate way to deal with this issue is by looking at the underlying premise, okay, and tackle it head on and consistently drive home the narrative in the same way that the Republicans have for years and years, okay, and do the same fucking shit that CNN was doing for years when Donald Trump was president. Some people say this is an apple. Some people say this is an orange. It is our job at CNN to show you that this is an apple. That's what they were doing when Donald Trump was president. But when Joe Biden is president, they immediately turn back to their fucking reactionary framing. And they get completely guided and motivated, not by truth, not by a defense of like the Democratic Party in general, but specifically by what the fucking Republicans are saying on Republican media. It is so crazy. It blows my mind. If you ask me about the fucking Hezbollah drone footage one more time, I'm going to ship you into Gaza, okay? Shut the fuck up. It's on the docket. We are going to cover it. Oh my God. Why do you think I would not cover that? Of course I'm going to cover it. This dude has just been non-stop posting it over and over again. Bro, when are you going to watch the Haifa footage? When are you going to watch the Hezbollah Haifa footage? When are you going to watch the drone footage from Haifa? Hezbollah has a Haifa drone footage. I know, dude. I know. We're going to cover it.
Majority support for what Trump is saying, including among Hispanics in the United States of America. They
what
like
about
what
detention?
Trump is saying
but
about
Scott,
cracking down on illegal immigration.
What about detention camps and mass deportations? What about that?
Mass deportations has majority support in the United States and among Hispanic voters.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. And even if it was popular, it still doesn't change the fucking reality that it is gross and inhumane. Okay? Wow, dude. The majority of Americans think black people should, we should go back to segregation for black people. Are we going to do that? Does that sound like a good idea? Would you advocate for that? Oh, he's not wrong. U.S. population is radicalized at the bazoo on this issue. Biden is forced to capitulate. There has never been a fucking time in American history, at least in contemporary American history, okay, where Americans haven't been at least like majority pro-amnesty. Do you understand that? It's the same fucking people. It is the same fucking people that are saying yes to, would you support deporting all undocumented immigrants? Do you understand? Do you understand? I keep trying to describe something to you. There was 90% approval of giving permanent citizenship, granting permanent citizenship to the Dreamers. There's 70% approval historically, okay, on amnesty, mass amnesty. Oh, you need to understand this. Americans are of two different minds in the same mind when it comes to immigration, okay? About 6 in 10 Trump supporters favor a national effort to deport undocumented immigrants currently living in the U.S., changing views on how the country should handle undocumented immigrants. Growing share of voters say undocumented immigrants should not be allowed to stay in the country legally. This poll was just posted yesterday. Biden had a 64% disapproval rating on immigration. Yeah, here, you know what's really funny about that, by the way? Okay, you know what's really funny about the fucking Biden disapproval rating? Biden had a higher approval rating on immigration when he was running against Donald Trump in 2020. Biden had a higher approval rating on tackling immigration when he was running against Donald Trump and was objectively to the left of Donald Trump on immigration and not trying to catch up to Donald Trump on immigration. The idea that you can capture the essence of the right-wing framing and become the we are going to mass deport immigrants party as a Democrat is so laughable. All you are doing is basically solidifying the faulty premises of where this argument comes from. The right-wing framing on the issue that immigration is a national security problem is completely, objectively ridiculous. Okay? Lies making me hate you. What? What is happening in the fucking chat? No, them. They're making me hate them. Oh, you mean the Democratic Party? They're making you hate the Democratic Party. Oh my Lord. This is literally, the more Biden talks about the border, the fewer people like what he's done there. The latest poll from UK magazine, The Economist, and Public Opinion YouGov is out. So you have to remember, when Biden was actually woke, quote unquote, woke on immigration, when he was running on like offering amnesty, when he was running on offering amnesty, when he was running on shutting down the deportation processes that Donald Trump had put in place, okay? When he said that, he was more popular on the issue of immigration. He was still losing to Donald Trump on immigration because Americans are reactionary in general, but Americans literally voted for him because he was going to stop the family separation. He was going to stop all of that shit. He was going to shut down the detention centers. Like, these were the things that he was running on, and he was objectively closer to Donald Trump on the issue of immigration in the eyes of the American population. When immigration under Donald Trump was seen as a genuine, cruel policy, right-wing immigration is absolutely fucking cruel. Right-wing framing on immigration is born out of hysteria. Okay? So the Democratic Party, instead of leaning on that and saying like, no, we're going to fix it. We're going to fix it. The real issue with immigration is processing. Instead of doing that, running on the 2020 positions that Donald Trump had is insanely bad. It's unimaginably stupid. Of course, we're moving further and further into we should deport all migrants territory because right-wing framing is dominating the conversation. What would you say to the right-wingers and liberals that claim immigrants depress wages? Immigrants do not depress wages. The two-tiered immigration structure depresses wages. Okay? That's it. The solution to that is amnesty and documentation. The solution to that isn't to just be like, oh yeah, we're going to scare the 12 million undocumented migrants that are literally working every goddamn day on U.S. soil to, you know, that are basically the backbone of our agricultural output. Yeah, we're going to fucking deport all those guys. No, you're not. No one is going to deport those guys, okay? The conversation surrounding immigration has to happen so that there is a two-tier immigration structure in this country. Noam Chomsky's daughter, Aviva Chomsky, wrote an entire book on this, by the way. It's a really good book. I highly recommend it. I forget the name of it now. It's not coming to mind currently. I'm sure someone will mention it. Aviva Chomsky is her name. Noam Chomsky, who is not dead, by the way, contrary to what people think because they see shit on Twitter. I believe the name of the book is Undocumented. Anyway, right-wing framing isn't even what the right wing believes, at least when it comes to immigration. They've never and will never be pro-deportation when push comes to shove unless they want to tank our economy and labor force even further. Yes. Undocumented, how immigration became illegal. It tracks the history of anti-immigrant, white nativist immigration policy making in the United States of America. The American population is becoming radicalized against immigrants rapidly. We are sliding into fascism, and that means the population is adjusting to the political landscape. Yeah, it's the Democrats' fault, but that doesn't change that it's been trending in the wrong direction for a decade now. It's not just Biden's messaging. We also had the highest influx of immigrants in American history last year, and I don't know, maybe that plays a part. No, I think that plays a part, but knowing that that was going to happen and it's going to get significantly worse from that perspective, especially when you consider climate change and like the new wave of climate migrants that are going to be coming in as well, you have to set up this country ahead of time so that we do not fucking slide into fascism, which we are, going to slide into fascism. We are sliding into fascism right now. It doesn't really matter. My friend insists that we need to know everyone that comes in the U.S. is the reason why we should restrict immigration. I tell him that it's nativist rhetoric sublimated to be digestible for libs like him. No, tell him, okay, that's great. If you want to know every single person that comes into the country, set up the processes so that people can be, correctly documented. Don't shut off pathways to immigration that you rely on, for the record. The reason why the American population is not aging out in the same way that like the Japanese population is because of immigration, okay? Both documented and undocumented, especially undocumented. People don't understand that there is no current real pathway for immigration into the country for many of these people that are coming in illegally. And that is the reason why they're coming in illegally. If there was a legal pathway, then of course they wouldn't come in illegally. The problem is we have to look at this completely differently. We are not able to look at this completely differently in the exact opposite way that we've analyzed the situation. Yeah, that's a great, actually, this is a great analogy. Shouts out to Gaben. Piracy is a service problem. You're right. You're absolutely correct. Piracy, for the most part, is a service problem, right? That's what Gaben says. In Gaben, we trust. Migration, or at least like undocumented migration, is the exact same issue. Undocumented migration is a processing problem, okay? And it's a processing problem that is built that way specifically to benefit capital owners, to benefit corporations, to benefit the poultry industry, to benefit the agriculture industry, okay? Because if those guys are undocumented, you can abuse them. If those guys are undocumented, you can fucking, do slave wages, basically. And when they chirp up, when they actually demand the back pay that you refuse to give them, what happens? Well, now we're going to kick you out of the country. And then boom, go back to the same exact communities and literally bring in a new crop of undocumented migrants. Here.
Look, for example, at the obvious, immediate, practical case of illegal Mexican immigration. Now, that Mexican immigration over the border is a good thing. It's a good thing for the illegal immigrants. It's a good thing for the United States. It's a good thing for the citizens of the country. But it's only good so long as it's illegal. That's an interesting paradox to think about. Make it legal, and it's no good. Why? Because as long as it's illegal, the people who come in do not qualify for welfare. They don't qualify for Social Security. They don't qualify for all the other myriads of benefits that we pour out from our left pocket into our right pocket. And so as long as they don't qualify, they migrate to jobs. They take jobs that most residents of this country are unwilling to take. They provide employers with workers of a kind they cannot get. They're hard workers, they're good workers, and they are clearly better off.
George Mason University economics professor Michael Clemens says for every million undocumented immigrants deported, 88,000 U.S. native workers will lose their jobs. Economists criticize Trump's plan to deport longtime immigrant workers. Thoughts on Friedman? Was he evil like Chad is saying? Yes, he was unimaginably evil. What do you mean? Do you not hear what he's saying here? He's saying that, like, immigration is good as long as they stay undocumented because we can exploit them. He's saying the quiet part out loud. He's basically saying what I'm saying, but on the other side. I say that all the time and tell you that it's bad. He's saying it and saying it's actually good. I'm a DACA recipient that was brought here in 1992 and have been married to a U.S. citizen since 2009. I work and pay taxes, not a criminal, still illegal immigrant. The system is so screwed up. The immigration structure in this country is designed around basically legalizing slavery. It kind of works alongside the prison industrial complex in that same exact way. Okay? It's just a way to depress wages for the documented working class. It's a way to undermine all labor across the board by literally fucking constantly taking advantage of a steadily growing, additionally hyper-exploitable class of workers, okay? Now, one thing you have to understand is that if we were really fucking racist, if we were like actually racist and weren't doing this specifically for capitalist reasons, what we would do here in the United States is actually punish businesses that do hire undocumented laborers, okay? That would stop immigration dead in its fucking tracks. Undocumented immigration dead in its fucking tracks. Right now, however, we don't do that. And the reason why we don't do that, and we have like basically a law in the books that you get a slap on the fucking wrist if you are calling ICE on your own workforce because they are demanding back pay, for example. That is simply a mathematical calculation for our profit-seeking corporations. As long as the punishments for the companies do not go above the profit that they make off of hiring and exploiting undocumented laborers, this issue is not a real issue born out of like the real fears. It's fucking bullshit. People might watch Fox News on a regular basis and develop real fear, okay, about undocumented immigration or immigrants or whatever the fuck, but that doesn't change the reality and the way that capital owners calculate this. That's why you see so many people who are like anti-immigration hire undocumented migrants on a regular fucking basis. It's because it's beneficial for corporations to have undocumented immigration. The real fix to that problem is by documenting them, okay, and allowing them to participate in the documented labor force and allow them to also unionize alongside the documented labor force. But we won't do that because that would hurt the profits, okay? The worst part about it is that you see a similar structure for this already, like H-1B visa processes, right? That already is like creating a two-tier immigration structure that is legalized. You can still exploit people by taking advantage of the currency exchange. You can still exploit people by taking advantage of the fact that like they are coming from very poor countries, but that's not enough for Americans in general. They want to do it even in a, the American government wants to be even more fucking cruel. Okay? That's the point.
Right now, it's recent polling. You can look it up. No, it is at Maria. It is absolutely true. When we get off the air and you Google it, you're going to be embarrassed, but it's absolutely true.
I will send you the actual polling from pollsters who actually know how to poll on this issue.
You're going to be
Scott.
embarrassed.
I will send this to you after our segment.
The CBS poll, 53%.
I have issues with that poll because of exactly what I'm saying. But I do want to answer Scott.
Wait.
The counter to that literally is to say, oh, that's really interesting because like even under the Trump administration, 70% of Americans, which included the majority of Republican Party voters, wanted a pathway to citizenship for all undocumented migrants that have been on U.S. soil, especially those who have been on U.S. soil for 10 plus fucking years. Okay? It's a bullshit push pull. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You need to understand. You need to understand something. Americans on the issue of immigration will literally say the most inconsistent shit. Okay?
Who's right? I just want to make sure people don't miss it. Who was right? I just want to know who was right.
I want to answer Scott because he actually posed an interesting question. Why didn't Biden do this the first day in office? Actually, Scott, President Biden did try to do this the first day in office. The very first thing he did when he walked into the Oval Office was he put a bill together that actually does strengthen border security and expands legal pathways because he wants to do this right. He wants to do this the way that it's supposed to be done, working with Congress. But then guess what? Congressional Republicans slammed the door on any opportunity that would expand any legal pathways. And what we know from what happened under 4 years of President Trump, and this is something that Republicans lie over and over about, is that he eviscerated all of the legal pathways, including our asylum system, and he did nothing to eradicate illegal immigration. His numbers on illegal crossings went up his last year in office. So when President Trump was in office, he did nothing to fix this. He made it worse. And now it's actually kind of rich because what this also does, Scott and Jim, this keeps American families together. When Republicans scream that kids need a father and a mother, well, guess what? Then join us because this is exactly what this executive action is doing. And again, the vast majority of Americans, and I will send you the polling on this, Scott, from pollsters who know how to poll on this, absolutely agree with this. It is upwards of 3/4 of the American people support a balanced approach of strong border security, which I know you agree with, but also expanding legal pathways, especially for the long-settled immigrants that have been here who have contributed more than $7 trillion to our economy.
Scott?
Yeah, you know what? I'm actually just going to give in and say that I think Maria should go over to the White House today and encourage Joe Biden to run on as much amnesty as possible. I think if that's the way you want to read the polling, if that's the way you want to interpret the mood in the country, Scott, I think you should go over there and say, you know what, President Biden, the American people are behind you. Let's encourage as much of this as we possibly can. I think you ought to. I'm all in.
No, Scott, but here's the thing. Here's the thing, Scott. They are behind him on this action. And it's not amnesty, Scott. You know better. You're a smart.
Look at that. She's like scared of saying the word. Like, I think that it's crazy that even the word amnesty, which is something that Ronald Reagan did, is considered by Democrats to be a bad thing. Okay? Obviously, if you have completely caved to the right-wing framing on this fucking issue, okay, then yeah, there is no way. There is no fucking way that you can win this conversation. There is no reasonable voices on the left on this issue in a position of power. Aren't underground non-market activities not captured in the GDP? What incentive does the government have to create a two-tier labor system if it doesn't boost the GDP on paper? What are you talking about? Do you think that like payments to the undocumented migrants is the most significant part of this? No, it's fucking profits, dude. It's literally every aspect of our agricultural output relies on an overwhelming majority of undocumented migrants working. It's still labor, even if it doesn't reflect, even if the payments don't I mean, it's also usually not like under the payments themselves are not like, you know, under the table. They're not like fucking paying them cash. Like they have fake social security schemes and shit like that they set up. Undocumented migrants pay taxes on that stuff too, even if they don't have access to the same benefits. It's not an informal economy, chatter. It's an undocumented labor market. Yeah, they pay taxes. Like you're thinking of like undocumented migrants. You're thinking of undocumented migrants as like a group of people that you pick up outside of Home Depot and then like pay cash. That's not how this works for like Purdue. You know what I mean? Like the chicken plant. I'm not talking about Purdue, the drug manufacturer, or the Purdue family. I'm talking like, you know, every piece of like food that you consume has been touched by undocumented labor in a very meaningful way. This is not like they're not getting paid. They're not getting paid under the books with cash. Yeah, tons of immigrants have fake documentation. They are on the payroll, normal as anyone. Yeah. Anyway, overall, there is definitely an attitude change as far as like mass deportations. But I personally suspect it's not dissimilar to the way that like people want a certain policy until it actually happens, because a lot of people don't recognize that mass deportations would destroy the American economy. It'll never happen in the way that like the Republican Party is advocating for it, because if that was the case, they would first and foremost punish corporations. The entire agricultural industry would be destroyed overnight. Okay? It's Brexit. It's so much worse than Brexit. Like you would not have food. Food prices would fucking go. Food prices will go up so much. Like I don't even know how to describe it. Like there is no dairy industry, no chicken, no fucking steak, no fruits, no vegetables, no food. Construction would be destroyed as well. But like there's no service industry. There's no food. There's nothing. There literally is nothing. This is what I'm trying to explain to people. The entire conversation surrounding like deporting undocumented migrants is like built around this fucking fake hysteria in terms of like, oh, they're doing crimes. And it is only a back and forth cycle that has to be had, because if you were to recognize that like undocumented immigrants are actually human beings who are incredibly important to the American economy, then you would start developing sympathies for them, and then you would recognize them as the human beings that they are, and then it would make it much easier for them to be documented, which ultimately would hurt the bottom line of all of these corporations that rely on undocumented immigration to keep the cost of food products and shit like that low. It's ridiculous. Once again, 12 million plus undocumented migrants living on U.S. soil, many of which are here for a decade plus. What are you going to do? You're just going to do Gestapo style fucking, you're going to continue on the Trump era deportation policies that were already in place, that were like being utilized, never to the same degree as like what Trump is now advocating for. Okay. And there are places where they tried this, for the record. A year later, Florida businesses say the state's immigration law dealt a huge blow. Early morning in this small agricultural town of Central Florida, the pickers are already hunched over the bushes, plucking strawberries, the main crop out there. Fidel Sanchez instructs his workers to get rid of the fruit that fell and rotted the ground. There's a lot of it. Like the other farmers out here, Sanchez is worried about how long he will be able to keep this business going. About a year ago, Florida governor and then presidential candidate Ron DeSantis passed one of the toughest crackdowns on immigration in the country. SB 1718 punishes employers who use undocumented labor and forbids undocumented people from having a driver's license. Many local Florida businesses say the new law has led to workers leaving the state, hurting their bottom line. A lot of people are scared, says Sanchez. A lot of people went north and never came back. The federal government estimates nationwide over 40% of farm workers are undocumented. And then another fucking 35 to 40% are also documented, but migrant workers. So that's like another part of the puzzle as well. But the overwhelming majority of farm labor in this country is migrants, okay? Families who worked for 20, 30 years were gone from one day to the next. The government doesn't seem to care, he says. Maybe they think the crops are going to pick themselves. Florida Policy Institute estimates this immigration law could cost the state's economy $12.6 billion in its first year. That's not counting the loss of tax revenue. A spokesperson for Florida, Governor Ron DeSantis, told NPR, Governor DeSantis signed the most ambitious anti-illegal immigration law in the country to protect Floridians. They also stated that Florida can still maintain a robust economy. Ron Hetrick, a senior economist at Lightcast, a labor market analytics company, says the problem is the state has a serious labor shortage. The Pew Research Center estimates there is close to 1 million undocumented people. Even if it's just a fraction of them were to leave, Hetrick says, how do these cities get built? How do these houses get built? We all know very well how these things are built. Hetrick says what Florida is facing is symbolic of the larger reality of the country, where there's an aging population and politicians framing immigration as a threat rather than fixing a broken system. The future, if you look at the census projection for growth in this country, once this boomer population goes through in the next, 15 years without immigration, we shrink. A spokesperson for DeSantis told NPR that businesses are still free to hire immigrants as long as it's done legally. In 2023, Florida hired thousands more H-2A guest workers than the year before. But farmers NPR spoke to said the bureaucracy and the cost of applying for these work permits is crippling. There have also been widespread reports of lack of oversight and exploitation of H-2A workers. This is the other side of the puzzle as well. Honest question, doesn't this show that the right would absolutely try to mass deport? No, because this is a phenomenally unpopular fucking policy. That's the point. The reason the Bracero program was even passed was because white people had no intention of picking fields or working in the agricultural sector in general, even while they themselves were starving during the Great Depression. Latin migrants have always and will always be the backbone of American food. Yes, but the other part is also the wars too. World War I, World War II. I think that that was the other reason. But during the Bracero program, that it was actually the Texas Hicks that were literally fucking shooting federal marshals for trying to come in and deport undocumented, or rather documented, migrant laborers in the Bracero program. Unauthorized immigrants and U.S.-born workers have different industry profiles. Percentage of each status group worker who's in each majority industry in 2014. Business services, other services, unauthorized immigrants, 22 versus U.S.-born. Leisure and hospitality, 18%. Construction, 16% to 6%. Manufacturing, 13% to 10%. This is from 2014. Education, health services, financial activities, information, public administration, 37% documented, 12% undocumented. Wholesale retail trade, 12% undocumented, 15% documented. Have you ever heard of Operation W slur? Yes, it is. Yes, the wet slur. That's what it was called. Operation the anti-Latino slur. Anyway, yes, everything, especially the Bracero program, is covered in the Aviva Chomsky book, Undocumented. The H2A system is absolutely broken, says Gary Wishnasky, head of Wish Farms, also in Plant City. This is one of the largest strawberry growers in the nation. His field harvesters in Florida are on H2A visas. It's only means of getting workers on the farm right now, but it's totally outdated. Even for a company as large as it is, the cost has become crushing, he says. They're also fucking complaining. That's the other side of it. Do you see? Because even when there's like a little bit of documentation, they're like, oh, we can't fucking exploit them as hard. This is the real reason as to why they will never advocate to document all of the undocumented laborers. Do you understand? Even for a company as large as it is, the costs have become crushing. It has to pay a recruitment company, visa fees, housing workers, pay for meals and transportation. The shortage of workers is not just impacting agriculture. NPR spoke to hoteliers, construction business owners, and restaurateurs who said Florida's labor shortage, combined with the arthritic national immigration policy, is hurting the bottom line. Years ago, you put an ad in a newspaper, you'd have a bunch of applications filled out. You'd have people lined up outside your door. CFS Roofing Services in Fort Myers owner said, because Florida is in the path of hurricanes, roofing is in high demand here. In recent years, Fort Myers has been especially hard hit, and Crowther says it's been a challenge to find workers at all levels from managers to roofers. Crowther's company lost about 10% of his workers out to Florida past the SB 1718 immigration bill. These workers were scared for the safety of their undocumented family members, he says. Crowther says he could hire more immigrant labor. It would ultimately trickle down into more jobs for American workers. If I knew I could get an unlimited supply of labor, then I would start hiring estimators or salesmen over the start of promoting more work. It's a domino effect. Crowther, along with the National Roofing Contractors Association, has been petitioning for an expansion of the H-2B visa program, which provides temporary non-agricultural visas. Crowther says business is good, but it could be so much better if only he could find more workers. For the others in Florida, the law created a climate of fear. A few miles north of the fruit farm, a woman sitting in the cool shade of her fruit stand says she dreams of leaving. Anna Marie Perez got to Florida 20 years ago, but things have changed. As a Latina and a business owner, she says it makes no sense to stay. Farmers don't have the workforce they used to, so now the cost of fruit rose for us. Perez started as a fruit picker when she came from Mexico. She says it was physically exhausting, so she stopped after she became a legal resident. The fruit stand was supposed to be a step up, but once the law went into effect, you should have seen it. The mangoes and mammies falling into the ground. No one to pick. Perez says next year, when her kids graduate college, she's planning to leave Florida. She's done. She shakes her head and gets back to packing more limes. We all lost out here, she says. We all lost. The other aspect of this that people are not like taking into account is that it also increases the prices in general, but ultimately, constantly, because it is inherently fucking fascist, obviously, it is a suicidal ideation. White nativist immigration policies deliberately create a system that is a two-tier immigration structure, a two-tier labor force, that creates a hyper exploitable labor force that is constantly coming in here from every other country because they have no other opportunities, because they're fleeing violence, they're fleeing climate change related issues in their own domestic economies. I'm not kidding when I say we don't care as much about the wages and money as much as we care about being able to travel to our home country and be able to come back legally. No, 100%. Anyway, so this entire conversation is idiotic.
Smart guy.
But ultimately, it's good that Biden did this, and, you know, you'll see a lot more Republicans go fucking crazy mode. And if the Democrats don't actually turn around and defend this policy and humanize undocumented immigrants, as they have not really done so for the past 4 years, they truly dropped the ball on that. America will, you know, they'll drop this aspect as well.
Calling it amnesty is a lazy and incorrect way to describe what's going on. Why don't you go tell your Republican friends in Congress that if they were really interested in trying to solve this issue, they would join Democrats and do this legislatively, both strong border security as well as expanding legal pathways. That's what works, and that's what the American people support.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think that what Joe Biden did on his first day in office, canceling all of Donald Trump's executive orders, hurt him or helped him with the American people on this issue?
It helped our immigration system try to recover from the evisceration of what happened to Donald Trump. Because, see, here's the problem, Scott. Not everything has to be based on polls and politics. Some things, actually, real leaders focus on real solutions because it's good for America. And you know what? When you actually put solutions in front of party and politics, the party and politics follows. This is good policy, and it's good politics.
All right, guys. Great debate, spirited debate. We'll do it again some other time.
DeSantis crackdown on the employers. That seems like the right direction. Can you tell me why that's wrong? Do you not understand what I'm saying? Brother, that crackdown leads to actual human beings leaving the state of Florida. Okay? I mentally do not believe that we should go after the employers either. I'm using that as an extreme example of someone who's like, yeah, I fucking love racism that much. I'm saying that is objectively bad. And the real solution to this issue is to document the existing labor force. Why is it a bad thing to dismantle the system that allows for immigrants to be hyper exploited? Because it's literally, guys, do you think Ron DeSantis did this because he was worried about undocumented immigrants being hyper exploited? If that's the case, why didn't he document them? What are you talking about? I hope that That doesn't help immigrants. Legalizing them does. Yeah, exactly. What is going on? You don't get it. We're fixing the post office by underfunding it. Yeah, Americans have fucking one speed, bro. I swear to God, they literally are we just like? I hope that this is a top of the hour ad break debate. I fucking hate that chatters are already like rating it. You know, I've lost the fun in it all at this point. I swear to God. The kick video yesterday broke all of our brains. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck is going on in this goddamn community. Anyway, here's the 3-minute ad break now. Here it is. Let's continue.
When Secretary Blinken was recently here in Israel, we had a candid conversation. I said I deeply appreciated the support the U.S. has given Israel from the beginning of the war. But I also said something else. I said it's inconceivable that in the past few months, the administration has been withholding weapons and ammunition to Israel. Israel, America's closest ally, fighting for its life, fighting against Iran and our other common enemies. Secretary Blinken assured me that the administration is working day and night to remove these bottlenecks. I certainly hope that's the case. It should be the case. During World War II, Churchill told the United States, give us the tools, we'll do the job. And I say, give us the tools and we'll finish the job.
Yeah, the job is ethnic cleansing, though. That's the difference. Anyway, finally, that one chatter who I banned earlier can rejoice. We are watching the drone footage from Hezbollah. Hezbollah has punished drone footage claiming to show surveillance of Haifa.
It's coming out of Lebanon, where Hezbollah has released a video of what it says is undetected drone footage of sensitive military sites in Israel. Now, the group says it shows various locations, including the Israeli city of Haifa and its vital civilian and military installations. Well, we're live in the Jordanian capital, Amman, but first let's head to Beirut and speak to Al Jazeera's Zaina Khoda, who joins us now. And this is an important message that Hezbollah is sending to its arch adversary.
Yes, no doubt. Just one of many messages that the Lebanese armed group has been sending to the Israelis. But this one coming just hours after the U.S. envoy, Amos Hochstein, was in Lebanon, really trying to de-escalate tension.
This is literally the same fucking energy. This is the same exact energy of Palestinian Islamic Jihad snipers sending footage to Israeli generals of Israeli soldiers and like high-ranking military officials inside of Israel in the crosshairs of a Palestinian Islamic Jihad sniper rifle. Okay, saying like, we can kill you if we want to. Fuck! Jesus Christ! Sorry, I'm just like pulling my own fucking cords down here. Oh, and the reality is, it seems that you spreading this information is something that is so underappreciated. Thank you for the consistency and transparency. The retaliation or the reaction from Israel will probably be the same, considering that this also happened today. The head of the IDF Northern Command, Major General Ori Gordon, and head of the Operations Directorate, Major General Oded Basiuk, approved the battle plans today. The military says the IDF in a statement says the generals held an assessment during which operational plans for an offensive in Lebanon were approved. The top commanders also made decisions regarding accelerating the readiness of the forces on the ground, the military adds.
Along the border. In this video, this 10-minute video, you can see reconnaissance drone images from that drone showing highly sensitive military and civilian infrastructure. So Hezbollah sources telling us that this is a message to the Israelis. First of all, the Israelis have been threatening a wide-scale war. Hezbollah saying we're ready for it. This is Hezbollah also saying that we have intelligence on sensitive military sites. We have our own bank of targets. So really a message to the Israelis as well as the Americans. Part of an ongoing psychological warfare. This is a very different Hezbollah than the Hezbollah during the last war in 2006. It has a very different arsenal, more sophisticated. In the past few weeks, what it has been doing really is slowly unveiling its capabilities to the Israelis. Really part of a deterrence to prevent the Israelis from widening the war of attrition, which is now in its 8th month.
Is going to be unimaginably bloody. They will do exactly what they did to Gaza, to southern Lebanon, as they have done before. Remember, we talked about the Dahiyya Doctrine before, which is, again, targeting civilian infrastructure and civilians deliberately and treating the entire area as enemy combatants. Okay? Like, it is devastating. On the other hand, it will also be devastating for Israel as well, because the people that they're fighting against is now actually a full-blown military force with significantly better weapons capabilities. Like, I personally think this will backfire on Israel dramatically. I feel as though going after Hezbollah or going into Lebanon and trying to do to Lebanon what Israel has done to Gaza is going to yield tremendous retaliation from a military force that is also backed by Iran, a military force that has targeting capabilities that can hit Israel proper.
Months, a war that was triggered by Israel's war on Gaza.
And you touch on the context there of why we're seeing this footage and why Hezbollah has released it now, Zain. It is all about October the 7th and the events that have...
Lebanese here, I do not support Hezbollah. What they're doing is not reflective of the Lebanese will. I am, of course, pro-Palestine, but I do not want this to escalate. Every time I say this, people accuse me of being fake pro-Palestine. Yeah, because Israel doesn't give a fuck if you're pro-Hezbollah or not. I don't think you understand that. Just like Israel didn't give a fuck when they were doing what they were doing to Gaza. They weren't like making an assessment on whether or not the people that they're killing inside of Gaza are sufficiently pro-Israel or pro-Hamas. Do you understand? Also, saying you're Lebanese and that you're not in agreement with one faction in Lebanese politics is you're just repeated that you're Lebanese twice over. I can't think of a moment where Lebanese politics has been united on a singular issue ever, but that's besides the point. There is one uniting principle. It's when Israel fucking invades.
Happened afterwards and what's going on in Lebanon's southern border, which is also Israel's northern border.
Yes, earlier today we heard from the U.S. envoy. He says the situation is serious. He says it's a critical moment and that the Biden administration does not want it to expand, doesn't want the...
Like, what do you guys think this is? Why do you think they're showing that they have the capabilities of filming inside of Israel? It's to say, like, if you go into Lebanon, we will start fucking bombing Israel to a degree that like even your current capabilities will not be able to withstand.
Conflict to expand. But his message from Lebanon was really to Hamas, telling Hamas, you better accept the U.S.-backed ceasefire proposal that is on the table. Now, when they send the message to Hamas, they're also sending a message to Hezbollah because they're allies. And for the first time, the U.S. is saying that it is if there is a ceasefire in Gaza, then there could be quiet along the Lebanon front. And this is what Hezbollah has been saying from day one. We will halt the firing if there is a permanent ceasefire in Gaza. But just a few months ago, Houghton came here and said that a ceasefire in Gaza doesn't necessarily mean and automatically there will be quiet on the northern front. So how some are understanding this is that the U.S. is saying this U.S.-backed ceasefire proposal, Hamas accepting it, now this is going to...
Have you seen the internal conflicts about the rabbi law in the legislative committee in Israel? I'm telling you, these Haredi issues might be the thing that bring down the coalition, and no one in international media will have seen it coming. I mean, I haven't seen it. No, I haven't been following up on all of the domestic politics and the Haredi issues inside of Israel.
Be linked to security in Lebanon. So in one way or another, being seen as a veiled threat. So Hezbollah releasing this footage saying we are ready for war. We don't want war, but we are ready for one. So tensions at an all-time high.
Hey, Hassan, way back ago, you mentioned that Hezbollah was reported to be stripped of cash. Do you know it's still the case? Yes, of course. It is still the case. The Lebanese economy is really fucking bad. But that doesn't change the reality that like they still have significantly better weapons capabilities, targeting capabilities in comparison to Hamas. and like actual trained fighters that have been, warring in the region. The problem here is like they have the capacity to defend themselves and even go on the offensive to attack Israel and create additional pressure if push comes to shove. It just means that they're not going to be readily available in the same way that like America is, for example, in redeployment and sending an seemingly endless supply of munitions into Israel, in the same way that like Hezbollah could do that for Hamas. And make no mistake, I'm not saying that like Israel, I'm not saying that like, Hezbollah will own Israel if Israel chooses to fucking invade Lebanon. I'm not saying that at all. Okay? Because it will be incredibly bloody, incredibly deadly, no matter what. It's just that unlike in Gaza, it will be deadly for Israel beyond the diaper force individuals that are fucking, getting owned inside of the Merkava tanks. It'll be deadly for the Israeli public in general.
In Lebanon.
Dana Codder there for us in Beirut. Thank you. Well, the Israeli government has banned Al Jazeera from reporting there. So Hamda Salou is joining us now from the Jordanian capital Amman to report on those Israeli lines. Hamda, hi. What reaction, if any, has there been from Israel over this revealed surveillance drone footage from Hezbollah?
Well, no reaction from the Israeli political.
To put this into perspective, Hezbollah brought down an area of the Iron Dome a few weeks ago. Hamas wishes it could do that. Yeah, exactly.
Or security establishment just yet, but this will surely be seen as a wide failure in Israel's aerial defense array. Just in the last hour, the army did release a statement saying that they intercepted what they called 3 suspicious hostile aircrafts on Israel's northern border. But if this was a drone that was able to fly over many areas of northern Israel, including the port in Haifa, shows several sensitive military targets like bases, military complexes, and Iron Dome batteries, it's something that the Israeli military is surely going to have to reevaluate how exactly those air defense alarms go off. Now, we have heard from several Israeli officials yesterday after their meetings with the U.S. envoy Amos Hochstein, and that's because they're saying they want to deter the threat on Israel's northern border. They want to mitigate the situation so it doesn't spiral out of control, but that Israel, again, is ready for an all-out war. And I'll remind you that the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu just last week held a situational assessment and said that the evacuations for the towns and settlements in northern Israel would be extended until at least the end of August. So Israel, while they say they are dealing with this problem, it is something that is surely spreading the military thin, having both the southern and northern front open at the same time in a problem that Israel is still not seemingly dealing with.
Hamda, thanks very much for the Hamda Salou there for us in Amman. And of course, the Israeli government has banned Al Jazeera from operating in Israel. That's why we're reporting from neighbouring Jordan. Now, Elijah Magnier is a military and political analyst, joins us now from Paris. Mr. Magnier, good to have you with us back on the programme again. This is a real coup for Hezbollah to get so deep into Lebanon, apparently, but into Israel, but will worry the Israelis that it did so despite the fact that its defence systems, such as the Iron Dome and David Sling, didn't seem to be set off.
Thank you for having me. Actually, it's quite embarrassing for a drone that is 1.5 meter long and 2 meters wide to fly over 4 anti-air interception batteries, like, as you rightly said, the Iron Dome and David Sling, that were supposed to protect one of the most important military industrial complex in Israel, that is a Rafael, extended on 6.5 kilometers, and then go also to Haifa, where we see the picture of all the Israeli Navy and all the vessels, the SAR 5, the other vessels that are deployed there, sending a message that all these are under the target and the bomb of Hezbollah. And then on the side of the picture, we see again a picture of the Fateh 110, that is one of the most precise missiles that Hezbollah and Iran has, and that can hit any target with a very high precision anywhere in Israel, and presenting all that and returning with all these footage and then putting up these at the moment when the US envoy is in Lebanon delivering a message from the Israelis, and the Israelis are saying that they're threatening Lebanon, and they still not understanding that they have no purpose in continuing the war on Gaza is quite significant.
With the politics of exactly what you've just mentioned, I think the other issue we really need to also focus on is really the quality of this technology and the development in Hezbollah's armory of what they've got. If we look at these pictures, this video, it's incredibly clear. It's not crackly or broken up. It gives the impression that what they have is very sophisticated, and therefore how sophisticated Hezbollah's thinking has become since the 2006 war. What should we read into this? Because this is exactly what Israeli analysts will now be trying to fathom.
We have seen picture of these kind of drones even 5-meter distance.
IDF released a statement earlier saying they didn't shoot it down because they knew somehow that it wasn't a threat and that the debris from shooting it down was more dangerous. Yeah, that's just copium. For the record,
the picture can be even more enhanced, and the reason why is flying over in the industry that produce artificial intelligence for all the Israeli military complex, and saying we see every single detail, and then going to a city that 260,000 inhabitants in it, with all the cars moving around, with every single house, saying if you want to expand to phase 2, this is what you're going to be facing, which is the south of the Litani River in Lebanon. And this is where Hezbollah is capable, and saying, well, the Hezbollah you knew in 2006 is no longer the same after 18 years. And this is also a deterrence and psychological warfare that Hezbollah is exerting on the Israelis for Israel to be convinced to stop the war on Gaza.
Is that what's going on here? Because it does really beg the question, if you have such technology and you manage to infiltrate your arch enemy in this particular way, why would you tell them right now, and why would you tell the rest of the world?
General Charles de Gaulle said a long time ago, it is better to show your strength, not to use it. By Hezbollah showing the capability of the drone, showing the rich bank of objective, it is better to avoid the war and stop it now instead of being a destructive war on both sides. So it is telling Israel, if we have to go to the Stone Age, we're going together. So if you are ready for that, Lebanon has been accustomed to that several times and has been destroyed in many areas in previous wars, but you haven't. Now we're ready for it, but we prefer not to go to war unless you insist. And this is where we're going to start hitting you if you go to phase 2 and you want to escalate and enlarge the war.
We'll continue to monitor what is said, both from Lebanon and from Israel in the coming hours. Elijah Magnier, thanks so much for joining us from Paris.
Thank you.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get...
This is BBC News. Warnings of famine are looming once again.
Do I think this will be a successful deterrence measure? No, because I don't think. I mean, this wasn't a successful deterrence measure when Palestinian Islamic Jihad did this too. Like, it's just how it is. And if you think that this was a good deterrence for Israel, like I said, this seems that the deterrence didn't work. The only thing here, I guess, is that, like, I don't know if America has the appetite to back Israel in an invasion of Lebanon. Like, I don't think that there is like a legitimate. I think that there's a legitimate appetite from America in the Philly D Thumbo. Damn, kick drama. I suspect that the kick drama is gonna have me in the Philly D Thumbo. We made it again. +1 Thumbo, baby.
Beautiful bastards. Welcome back to the Philip DeFranco Show. You daily dive into the news, and I got an extra large show for you today. So how about you buckle up, hit that like button, otherwise we'll punch you in the throat. And let's jump into it. Starting with, in big
88 views 52 seconds ago. Chatters are so quick with it.
the internet and business drama news, we need to talk about Kick. Right? And they're the streaming platform that's kind of known for two things. One, it's where seemingly a lot of people go when they get kicked off of the other platforms. And two, they have just thrown down so much damn money.
Wait, hold on. This guy checking in for more L takes from a leftist brainlet. Checking in for L takes. Subscribe for more L takes. Another October 7 lever. We're going to unban him because he's got some good takes. He said 2.3K viewers for L takes. He was so horny that he, I think, couldn't even count properly. I don't know what's happening there, but respect to this guy. But notice how, like, is this a Hunter Biden copium den? L take. Hassan did 9/11. Fuck Dan Clancy, down Clowncy. It seems like this dude, is this the landlord lover stream? When I'm tired, I go to the casino and drink, make a fire and warm his pussy up. Oh, this is not even an October 7 lever. I think he's a kick lover, I think. But hey, welcome back, David R. Kelly. ADL faces Wikipedia ban over reliability concerns on Israel anti-Semitism. Oh my God. What a dub. He's a shit poster. Yeah, but I don't think he's shit posting in here. I think he's just like legitimately mad. He said, good. If you aren't supporting Israel as an American, you're on the wrong side of history. This whole stream and chat is a huge L take. All right, let's talk about this kick
for streamers. I mean, we're talking about reportedly millions and millions of dollars luring some of the biggest names over to the platform. But now they're in the news.
Yeah, except Amaranth, as of today, I believe Amaranth today is done with Kick. Her contract expired and she's back.
It was for a completely new reason. Because you had a former Kick employee by the name of Melissa posting a video with some serious accusations about the company's leadership and staff. With Melissa in the video talking about how hostile the culture of the company is as a whole.
There was just a consistent disrespect to other people's opinions and beliefs. And this went as far as to just consistently hearing the F slur, and not even just in jest, like as a joke. It was specifically, targeted towards people that it was supposed to discriminate against. Even so much as to walk past the socials room, the guys that run the, Kick streaming and Kick community, and hear the N-word just dropped. Hard R. I'm like, what is this office? How? And they had the executive, like the upper management was in the room.
But they're also claiming that staff members would do things like laughing as they deliberately misgendered trans streamers. So Melissa is saying that her decision to actually leave came down to two incidents that happened in her final weeks. One involved the case of a streamer with special needs whose contract was up for renewal. And when Melissa followed up with the streamer's point of contact at Kick to check how it was going, she said,
when I asked about this streamer's contract renewal, he had a smirk on his face and goes, I decimated his rate. And this was apparently hilarious because everybody else in the room laughed. I said, well, what did you put it down to? And he proceeded to then brag about the fact that he got him on a below market cent rate for an English streamer.
And then as far as the other incident that led to Melissa leaving, she said it was in relation to a meeting regarding a specific unnamed streamer.
Just for context, this particular streamer had been publicly battling cancer recently. So they decided to utilize that in their strategy to get this person over. The conversation very quickly became quite sinister. The quote that I remember hearing was, we can get her on Kick streaming steak for a relatively low price because she probably thinks she's going to die soon and she'll want to leave more money for her family.
With Melissa then going on to talk about children's safety on Kick and the way the company allegedly mishandled that, and claiming they don't even know their own policies.
Before I got there was no verification process for if somebody was underage. And it's so funny because by the time I left, me and compliance had put together a process, and because I was pushing it so hard, I'm like, we cannot allow anybody under 13 to stream. Now, nobody knew this, by the way, because I guess when you copy Twitch's TOS verbatim and then you just get some random guy in the office to change, the wording, none of the staff know the terms of service. So a lot of people were just like, nah, she can stream even if she's 6 years old because, she'll have her dad near her or whatever. And it's like, no, that's actually not the case. She cannot be on the platform and she cannot hold her own account.
Melissa also going on to allege how she was personally mistreated during her time at the company and afterwards, saying that it got to the point that she felt she had to post her resignation letter on X last week. The company's co-founder, Ed Craven, then even responded, with Ed apologizing for not getting to know her better and asking for some examples of the issues that she experienced, saying that his DM...
Don't worry, the juicer did an investigation on himself and found nothing wrong with the company he gets paid $100 million for. I asked, and there was no communication to Kaide from Kick or Stake. XC defends Kick after former employees' allegations against the streaming platform. Later in the stream, XC revealed that he's part of the team at Kick, but that doesn't hold him back from pointing out negative things about the platform. Bro did the Israel defense, dude. Hey.
Damn, this guy's good.